What if the answers to life's greatest mysteries have been within you all along, hidden not in the noise of the world but in the silence, patiently waiting to be heard? There exists a whisper, a timeless truth that speaks not to the mind but to the soul, a call to awaken your inner power, a power that has always been there, buried beneath layers of doubt, fear, and illusion. Inspired by Helena Blavatsky's The Voice of the Silence, a spiritual masterpiece rooted in ancient Eastern wisdom, this journey is not just an exploration of a text, but a reimagining of universal truths for the challenges of our modern world. Blavatsky's words, drawn from the ancient book of the Golden Precepts, offer a map, a guide to the labyrinth of the self. They speak of three sacred halls that all seekers must traverse: the hall of ignorance, where the soul is clouded by illusion; the hall of learning, where truth begins to pierce the veil; and finally, the hall of wisdom, where the seeker discovers the infinite and eternal within themselves. But this is not a tale of passive listening or idle inspiration. It's an invitation, a call to action to rediscover the light within you, a light that is never truly dimmed, no matter how dark the world around you might seem. As we embark on this journey together, we will explore the silence beyond the noise, confront the shadows within, and awaken the silver thread of connection to something greater, a truth that whispers, "You are not separate from what you seek. You are the garden you long to enter." So are you ready to step into the stillness and listen, not with your ears, but with your heart? Not for answers from the outside, but for the wisdom that resides within. This is your invitation. This is the voice of the silence. In a world filled with noise, the idea of silence can seem both inviting and terrifying. We live in a constant hum of activity, notifications, conversations, and endless mental chatter. But what lies beyond this noise? What can we discover when the world grows quiet and we turn inward? Helena Blavatsky wrote of a profound silence, one that transcends mere quietness. She called it nada, the soundless sound, a whisper of truth that can only be heard when the noise of the external world falls away. It is not a sound in the way we understand it. It does not come from outside but resonates from within, connecting us to the infinite. To hear this voice, Blavatsky reminds us we must quiet the mind, for the mind is the great slayer of the real. It clings to illusions, distractions, and fleeting desires, keeping us from perceiving the deeper truths of existence. The first step in this journey is to let go. Let go of the clamor of the senses. Let go of the stories we tell ourselves, and let go of the fear of what we might find in the stillness. Imagine yourself standing by a calm lake. When the waters are still, they reflect the sky above perfectly, showing the vastness of the universe and their depths. But when the surface is disturbed, rippling with waves or churned by the wind, the reflection is lost. Our minds are much the same. When stirred by restless thoughts and desires, they obscure the truths that lie just beneath the surface. Silence is not just the absence of noise, it is a state of being. It requires patience, courage, and trust. Blavatsky describes it as the first light of dawn, gently illuminating the darkness. It doesn't demand, but it waits, offering us the space to observe without judgment, to see without filters, and to remember what we have always known deep within. But why do we fear silence? Is it the emptiness, or is it what the silence reveals about ourselves? In stillness, we are stripped of distractions, left to face the raw and unfiltered truth of our being. This can be unsettling. What if we do not like what we find? Yet it is only by embracing this vulnerability that we can begin the process of transformation. Through silence, we begin to hear the questions that truly matter. Who am I? What holds me back? What is the cage I have built for myself? These are not questions for the mind to answer, but for the soul to reflect upon. The answers are not given in words, but felt as a gentle knowing, like the warmth of sunlight on your skin or the touch of a breeze. The call to silence is not a retreat from life, but a deeper engagement with it. It teaches us that silence is not an absence, but a presence, a sanctuary within, untouched by chaos. It is here, in this sacred space, that we can reconnect with the essence of who we are and awaken the song that has always been waiting to be sung. So let us step into the silence. Let us listen, not with ears attuned to the noise of the world, but with hearts open to the infinite. For within the silence lies a whisper, calling us to remember the truth of who we are. Every seeker's journey begins with a single step, yet the path ahead is never linear. Helena Blavatsky, in The Voice of the Silence, speaks of three sacred halls: the hall of ignorance, the hall of learning, and the hall of wisdom. Each hall represents a stage of transformation, a threshold we must cross on the way to enlightenment. The first is the hall of ignorance. It is the world we know well, a place of illusions, distractions, and attachments. Here, the soul is surrounded by the clamor of daily life, where the pursuit of material success and fleeting pleasures often takes precedence over deeper truths. In this hall, we mistake shadows for light, mistaking what is transient for what is eternal. But ignorance is not simply lack of knowledge. It is a state of being asleep to our true nature. Imagine walking through a fog, where every step is guided by false assumptions and borrowed beliefs. The hall of ignorance offers comfort. Yes, but at a cost. The comfort of never questioning, never awakening. The voice of silence urges us to ask, is this all I am? Is there more to life than this? These questions are the cracks in the walls of illusion, allowing the light of truth to seep through. It is through this questioning that we are guided to the second hall, the hall of learning. The hall of learning is both a sanctuary and a crucible. Here, the soul begins to shed the layers of illusion that once defined it. But this is no easy task. As Blavatsky writes, under every flower lies a serpent coiled. The truths we uncover in this hall are not always comfortable. They challenge us, forcing us to confront our fears, our ego, and the stories we've told ourselves for so long. Learning in this hall is not about accumulating knowledge, but about unlearning falsehoods. It is a process of peeling back the layers of what is unnecessary to reveal the core of what is real. Imagine holding a piece of gold covered in dirt. It is only through cleansing, through effort and perseverance, that its true brilliance emerges. But the hall of learning also warns of dangers, of becoming lost in the pursuit of knowledge for its own sake, of mistaking intellectual mastery for true understanding. The voice of silence whispers again, seek not the light and the pleasures of the senses or the distractions of the mind. Seek it within, where it has always resided. As the seeker perseveres, shedding illusions and growing in clarity, the final hall appears, the hall of wisdom. This hall is not a place of grand revelations or external wonders. It is a place of profound stillness, where the seeker merges with the infinite. Here, the boundaries between the self and the universe dissolve, and the soul realizes a simple but transformative truth. You are not separate from what you seek. You are the light you have been searching for. Blavatsky describes this hall as the realm of Akshara, the indestructible fountain of omniscience. It is a space where the eternal and the finite meet, where the seeker becomes the path itself. But this hall is not the end of the journey. It is a beginning, a doorway to the infinite. To cross these halls is to embark on the most challenging journey of all, the journey within. It requires courage to leave behind the comfort of ignorance, resilience to face the trials of learning, and humility to surrender to the wisdom that lies beyond words. The question is not whether you will walk these halls, but whether you are ready to take the first step. Are you ready to question the illusions that surround you? Are you ready to learn not by seeking but by letting go? And are you ready to enter the stillness of wisdom and embrace the truth of who you are? The journey through the three halls is not a journey for the faint of heart, but it is a journey worth taking. For at the end of this path lies not just understanding but transformation, not just awakening but liberation. So where are you now? In the hall of ignorance, surrounded by illusions? In the hall of learning, wrestling with the truths that challenge you? Or have you glimpsed, even for a moment, the infinite stillness of wisdom? Wherever you are, know this: the journey is not about reaching a destination but about becoming the path itself. The halls are not places you visit but thresholds you cross within your soul. The voice of silence calls you forward. Will you listen? Every journey toward self-discovery brings with it an inevitable challenge, a confrontation with the parts of ourselves we have long avoided. Helena Blavatsky calls this presence the Destructor. But make no mistake, the Destructor is not an enemy. It is a reflection, a mirror held up to reveal the fears, doubts, and insecurities we carry within. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast forest. The path ahead is uncertain, shadowed, and daunting. The Destructor is the voice that whispers, "Turn back. You are not ready." Who are you to seek the infinite? It does not attack you directly, but feeds on your fear, growing stronger with every hesitation. Yet, the Destructor exists not to stop you, but to test you. It asks, are you ready to face your own shadows? Are you willing to leave behind the illusions that comfort you but keep you bound? Blavatsky teaches that the Destructor is not an external force. It is born from within. It is the ego, clinging desperately to the identity you have constructed. It is the sum of your unhealed wounds, your buried fears, and the beliefs that keep you small. When you step onto the path of awakening, these parts of you resist transformation. They rise up, not to destroy you, but to challenge you to grow. In one story, a seeker sat in silence by a river, meditating for days. The longer he sat, the louder his mind became, bombarding him with memories of failure, doubt, and regret. He felt as though he were drowning in the storm of his own thoughts. But then, a quiet voice within urged him, "Look at it. Do not run. Do not fight. Simply observe." And so, the seeker stayed. He stopped resisting and instead faced his fears with courage and stillness. What he discovered changed everything. The Destructor was not there to harm him. It was a fragment of himself, clinging to the familiar because it feared the unknown. It was not an enemy but a teacher, offering him the opportunity to shed what no longer served him. To overcome the Destructor, you must not flee or fight, but understand. You must meet it with compassion, knowing that it is a part of you that fears being left behind. When you observe it without judgment, it begins to dissolve, like shadows retreating in the light of dawn. Blavatsky compares this process to gold being purified in fire. Just as gold must endure intense heat to remove its impurities, the soul must face the Destructor to emerge transformed. Each confrontation is an opportunity to release the illusions that weigh us down and uncover the truth of who we are. But how do we begin? How incredible. First, recognize the Destructor. When fear or doubt arises, pause, name it. Understand that it is not the truth, but a reflection of your insecurities. Second, observe without attachment. Resist the urge to fight or suppress these feelings. Instead, sit with them, allowing them to surface fully. Finally, let them go. Acknowledge their presence and release them, knowing they no longer define you. Imagine a turbulent river. On the surface, the water crashes and churns, but beneath it lies a deep, steady current. The Destructor is like the surface turbulence, a chaotic force that seems overwhelming, but when you dive deeper, you discover the calm beneath, the unshakable essence of who you are. Blavatsky's wisdom reminds us that every time we face the Destructor, we have a choice: to retreat into the safety of our illusions, or to advance into the unknown. Though the path forward is daunting, it is also the only path to freedom. In this process, the Destructor ceases to be a foe and becomes a catalyst. It pushes us to shed the layers of ego, to release the fears that bind us, and to embrace the infinite potential that lies within. So, the next time you feel the weight of self-doubt or fear, remember this: the Destructor is not there to destroy you, but to reveal your strength. It is the fire that tempers the soul, preparing you for the next step on your journey. In stillness, in courage, and in surrender, you can overcome. The Destructor is not the end of the path. It is the threshold to transformation. Will you cross it? Have you ever felt a quiet, guiding presence within you? Something that speaks not in words but in a language you instinctively understand. Helena Blavatsky called this the silver thread, an unbreakable connection between your soul and the infinite, linking you to the universal truth that has always been present. The silver thread is not something you can see or touch. It is not a path to be discovered outside of yourself, but a knowing that has existed within you all along. It is the gentle whisper that nudges you forward when you feel lost. The quiet reassurance that no matter how fierce the storm, you are not alone. Blavatsky reminds us that the silver thread is our bridge between the doubting mind and the knowing soul. It is the link between chaos and calm, between the transient and the eternal. But to feel its presence, we must be willing to quiet the noise of the world and listen, not with our ears, but with our hearts. There is a story of a traveler who, in his endless search for wisdom, scaled a mountain to seek answers from a master. When he arrived expecting profound teachings, the master handed him a mirror. The traveler was confused and frustrated. How could the answers he sought lie in his own reflection? But as he gazed into the mirror, something shifted. He began to see not just his image, but the tapestry of his life, the struggles, the triumphs, the lessons. In that moment, he realized the master he sought had always been within him. This is the essence of the silver thread. It reminds us that what we seek outside ourselves, the answers, the guidance, the truth, has been within us all along. But connecting with it requires us to surrender the distractions of the mind and allow life to unfold. Freedom. Imagine walking through a forest in autumn, golden leaves swirling around you. You feel an inexplicable clarity, a sense of connection to something vast and eternal. That feeling, that quiet knowing, is the silver thread weaving through your life, even in moments when you feel most lost. But how do we strengthen this connection? How do we allow the silver thread to guide us? First, cultivate stillness. Take moments to pause, breathe, and be present. Let go of the urge to control or analyze, and simply observe the life unfolding around you. Second, trust your intuition. The silver thread speaks through subtle nudges, an idea, a feeling, a moment of clarity. Honor these whispers, even if they defy logic. Third, embrace surrender. Release the need to know every step of the path. Trust that the thread will guide you, offering just enough light for the next step. Blavatsky describes the silver thread as an eternal guide that never breaks, even in our darkest moments. It is there when we feel joy and when we feel despair. It weaves through every experience, showing us that even our struggles are part of a greater journey. When we follow the silver thread, we realize that life is not a series of disconnected events, but a perfectly woven tapestry, each moment shaping who we are and who we are becoming. The silver thread teaches us that we are never truly separate. It connects us to the universe, to one another, and to the deepest parts of ourselves. It reminds us that even in the face of uncertainty, we are held by something infinite. 0.00. 0.00. So I ask you, can you feel the silver thread in your life? Can you sense its gentle pull, guiding you toward your truth? If not, don't worry. It has always been there, waiting patiently for you to listen. In moments of stillness, in moments of surrender, you will find it. And when you do, you will know that the answers you've been seeking have never been far away. They have always lived within you, woven into the fabric of your being. On every spiritual journey, there comes a moment of profound choice, a crossroads where two paths diverge, each offering a different promise. Helena Blavatsky, in The Voice of the Silence, describes this moment with clarity and urgency. The two paths are not merely physical choices, they represent two ways of being, two approaches to awakening. The first path is the path of liberation, pursued by those who seek personal enlightenment. It is a road of inner peace, freedom from suffering, and the culmination of self-discovery. It promises a sanctuary, a place where the noise of the world fades and the soul finds rest in the infinite. The second path is the path of renunciation. It is the road less traveled, chosen by those who see their awakening as a means to serve humanity. This path asks us to sacrifice personal comfort for the greater good, to become a light for others still lost in the shadows. It is not a path of ease, but one of profound purpose. The choice between these paths is not simple. At first glance, the path of liberation might seem more appealing. After all, who would not wish for personal freedom, peace, and fulfillment? But as Blavatsky reminds us, a deeper question arises at this crossroads. Why do you seek this enlightenment? Is it solely for yourself, or is it for something greater? Imagine standing at the edge of a vast ocean. On one path, you could build a boat and sail away, leaving the struggles of the world behind. On the other, you could stay, teaching others to swim, guiding them to safety, even if it means remaining in the storm a little longer. The first path offers tranquility, but the second offers meaning. A chance to transform the lives of others through your light. Blavatsky teaches that true wisdom does not isolate us, but connects us more deeply to the world and its people. Blavatsky teaches that true wisdom does not isolate us, but connects us more deeply to the world and its people. She calls the second path the doctrine of the heart, a path driven by compassion rather than self-interest. It is a choice to embrace the suffering of others as our own, to see their struggles as inseparable from our journey. Compassion for others, she says, a path driven by compassion rather than self-interest. But this choice is not about abandoning yourself. The path of renunciation does not ask you to give up your joy or well-being. Instead, it asks you to expand your understanding of self, to see yourself not as separate but as part of the whole. To awaken is to recognize that the light within you is the same light that shines in others. Blavatsky describes this as the ultimate realization. There is no separateness. The walls we build between ourselves and others are illusions. When we break down these walls, we find that every act of kindness, every moment of service, ripples outward, shaping a world that is more connected, more whole. The beauty of this choice is that it is not about one path being right and the other wrong. Both paths lead to transformation, to awakening. The question is not which is better, but which speaks to the deepest truth of your heart. All the problems, all the pains, all the various temptations, all the various harms. If you feel called to the path of liberation, embrace it with humility, knowing that your light will inspire others simply by its presence. If you feel drawn to the path of renunciation, walk it with courage, knowing that your sacrifices will create bridges for others to cross. In Jaya, the two paths are not as separate as they seem. They converge in their essence, for to truly awaken is to awaken not just for yourself but for the world. And to serve others is to discover the deepest parts of yourself in the process. So as you stand at this crossroads, ask yourself, Why do I walk this path? What do I seek? The answer will guide you. It will reveal the path that aligns with your soul's purpose. And remember, whichever path you choose, the journey is not about reaching an end. It is about becoming the path itself, living as a light, whether for your own liberation or for the greater good. The choice is yours, and the voice of silence will guide you. As we come to the end of this journey, let us pause and reflect. What have you heard in the silence? What truths have stirred within you? Perhaps you have begun to sense the whisper of something timeless, a voice that calls you to remember who you truly are. We have traversed the halls of ignorance, learning, and wisdom, confronted the destructor, and discovered the guiding light of the silver thread. We have stood at the crossroads of two paths, each offering a different way forward. But now the question remains, what will you do with what you have found? This is the heart of the journey, not the knowledge gained, but the actions you take. Helena Blavatsky reminds us that the spiritual path is not a passive one. It is a call to transformation, to live with intention, and to bring light into a world often shadowed by doubt and fear. The first step is to integrate the lessons of silence into your daily life. Start small, but start intentionally. Take a moment each day to sit in stillness, to listen for the voice within. It doesn't have to be long. A few minutes can open a doorway to profound clarity. Practice observing the noise of the world without letting it consume you. Notice how the storms of life come and go, but your inner stillness remains untouched. And most importantly, let what you've discovered guide your choices. Ask yourself, am I living in alignment with my highest truth? Am I allowing the light within me to shine? This is not a journey of perfection, but of progress. Each step, no matter how small, brings you closer to the truth of who you are. But this path is not yours alone. As Blavatsky reminds us, to awaken is to see the interconnectedness of all things. The light you kindle within yourself becomes a beacon for others. Every act of kindness, every moment of understanding, creates ripples that touch lives you may never know. Think of the silver thread, weaving through each moment, connecting us to one another and to the infinite. When you follow it, you are not just walking your path, you are lighting the way for those who come after you. So I leave you with this challenge. As you move forward, how will you share your light? Will you listen with compassion to those who are struggling? Will you lend your strength to those who have lost their way? Will you live as a reminder that within each of us is a spark of the eternal, waiting to be awakened? The journey of awakening is not about reaching an end. It is about becoming the stillness in the storm, the light in the darkness, and the truth amidst illusion. It is about living in alignment with the voice of silence and allowing it to guide you toward a life of meaning, connection, and purpose. Take a moment now to close your eyes. Breathe deeply. Feel the silence within you. It is not empty. It is full of possibility. It holds the answers you seek, the strength you need, and the light that will guide you forward. When you open your eyes, let this be your beginning. Step forward, not with certainty, but with courage. For the voice of silence is not a distant echo. It is your own voice calling you to awaken, to remember, and to become.